Hey mages on the internet, Matt here from MTG, and welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here today, welcome. I do suggest that you go through a previous video that I did if you've not seen it already, which is my top 15 commons ready for your pre-release, as today is top 15 for me uncommons ready for your pre-release. A bit of pre-release prep here for you. I've gone through and picked out what I think are the best uncommons in the set. Also stay to the end of the video because I do have 3 honourable mentions, because basically there's a lot of uncommons in this set that I think will be really good for your limited pre-release, and I really do hope you pull some of these in your pulls. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, it means a hell of a lot, and obviously if you do like it, hit the like button as well, and as always leave me a comment. I will always try and get back to you. Any cards you think I missed or any cards you just think are good, leave it in the comments below. So we're going to start with the colour green, Chainweb Arachneer. Arachneer? That's what I'm going to call it anyway. It's a green single coloured mana spell. It's a 1/2 spider that has reach just for that single 1 green mana. You get a lot for this 1 green mana, so immediately you start off, you see you get better stats, a 1/2 for 1, which is great. Green gives you something reach that's going to help you against flyers. A lot of people do like building UW flyers or something like that when you're playing pre-releases. So a bit of protection against flyers is always going to help. Now when this enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature with flying an opponent controls. So this can be really good if you're coming against that. If not, you've just got something there as a 1/2. Hopefully you will get that effect as well. So I do think it's a very worthwhile, card to have in your deck, even if you don't get that first ability. Because this has escape, and for 3 and double green, this will escape with 3/1/1 counters on it. So it's going to come back as a 4/5. Now that is a large stat. 5 mana, comebacks as a 4/5. I think this is just overall value, this card. So 4/5, you obviously will be able to attack him with that, and if not, that's going to pretty much trade with every flyer that you're going to come across. Chainweb Arachneer is definitely one of the best commons you're going to get in green. So the next card I really like is Nyx Herald, 2 green. It's a 2/3 enchantment creature, Centaur Shaman. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target enchanted creature or enchantment creature you control gets +1/1 and gains trample until end of turn. That is huge. So you're already getting a 2/3 creature for 2 and a green, which is nice. But that extra ability there at the beginning of your combat on your turn, this could be put on obviously your biggest flyer, your biggest stompy creature. Basically anything that's enchanted or is an enchantment creature already. So that is super strong. So it can even be put on the Nyx Herald as well, so that become a 3/4 with trample. I think Nyx Herald is a super strong card, and it can pump up another creature that can get you the win. Then to this little innocuous little insect. It's a 2/2 for 2. I love the art on this. I think it's really funny. Nessie and Horn Beetle. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control another creature with power 4 or greater. Now in green, that could be very easily. We saw in the commons, there's a 4/1 for 3 mana as well. So this could come down, and then you get to put a 1/1 counter on Nessie and Horn Beetle. And that's the beginning of combat on your turn. So every time that creature will stand on the battlefield, your Nessie and Horn Beetle will just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And if it's left to get out of hand, this little 2/2 Horn Beetle can get huge. I really like Nessie and Horn Beetle. I think it's a cracking little card. Now we're going to look at a couple of red cards here that I think are tasty. Fateful End is a nice one. It deals 3 damage to any target and you get to scry 1. So whereas Lightning Strike will do 3 damage for 2 mana, this is 3 damage plus you get to scry. That for the extra damage I think is nice. Scry is really good. I mean, you need removal. Removal is prime, and in red this will deal with a lot of creatures. Yes, it does cost 3, but it's still a very nice card. The Scry 1 makes it good, and 3 damage to any target, so that's player, creature, it could be a planeswalker, anything like that. So Fateful End is great removal, and I think if you're playing red or anything like that, you should definitely put this in your deck. My next card is a demigod. It's Annex Hardened in the Forge. 1 double red, star, and then 3. This demigod's power is equal to your devotion to red. So if you're building a deck with, heavily relying on the red theme, this creature could be great for that deck. When Annex or another non-token creature you control dies, you get to create a 1/1 red satire. This creature can't block. If a creature had 4 power or greater, create 2 of those tokens instead. This just screams value to me, and obviously it's legendary as well, so you can only have one on the field at a time, but it could be really good. It's already got 2 devotion, so it's already a 2-3 straight away for 3. Any other creatures there just going to pump this up, 4-3, 5-3, you know how it goes. And I think this is a really strong card. If you're playing red and you manage to get a little bit more devotion on the field, play Annex. I think it will do some work for you in games. Elsbeth's Nightmare is my next card, 2 and a black. It's one of the sagas. I really like sagas. There's been a lot of conversation about how these seem to be fairer than planeswalkers, but obviously that's just another total topic. But this to me is a nice card in itself. The first lore counter is destroy target creature and opponent controls with power 2 or less. There's going to be so many 1 and 2 power or less creatures on the field. You will be very unlucky not to hit by turn 3 one of those creatures and destroy it. Lore counter 2 is target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Playing black, you're going to get disruption. Disruption is good, like removal is good, and black is very strong for that. And obviously taking non-creature, you could get rid of a real bomb. Get rid of maybe an enchantment or something like that. And the lore counter 3 is exile target opponent's graveyard. And if you can exile their graveyard, they might not be able to get something really good and strong back late in the game. I think Elsbeth Nightmare is a very nice enchantment saga, and if you're playing black, give it a try. I think it'll do you some work. Great removal. Black always has great removal, and Drag to the Underworld, I think it's going to see play in other formats as well. I think it's pretty tasty. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is your devotion to black, and mono black devotion is definitely a way to go, as you'll see with my next creature that I say after this. I'm sure you'll guess what it is already, but for 2 double black, this could obviously cost less, and it destroys target creature. Nothing, no stipulation, no loss of life, nothing like that, just destroy target creature. I think Drag to the Underworld is going to see play, and if you pull it, it will be your premium removal that you can put in your deck if you're playing black. And like I said, playing devotion, play Grey Merchant of Asphodel, 3 double black. This just wins game. This will be all over standard, and it will be all over limited as well. The Grey Merchant ends the battlefield. Each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion. You can honestly just build it. If you put a couple of these in your pool, you can build around this card, as you've got the black cards to back it up. It is great. You gain life equal to the life lost this way, and you just drain your opponent. Gary, as it's known, is a great card, and it will win games. Some multicoloured cards now, and we're starting off with Tropi Other, twice favoured, 1 green and a blue for a 2-2. Constellation on this human wizard. Whenever enchantment ends the battlefield under control, put a 1-1 counter on target creature, and that creature gains flying to end of turn. Very, very strong that. Flying is great evasion, pumping up the creature as well. You've got the nice colours of green and blue as well, so you'll be able to mix different enchantments, get the constellation going, and then just build up an army, and then give a creature flying, which is basically, you could just play an enchantment and win a game from that. If your opponent doesn't have any flying blockers, you could play that, put it on your big creature, give it flying, and then just fly to the win, along with Mischievous Chimera. 2-2 flying creature. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, Chimera deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you get a scry 1 as well. For 2 mana this is. So obviously you have to play with like a spells matter kind of deck. You're playing it in your opponent's turn, but you can do that. You can build tricksy stuff, you can bounce stuff. There's loads that you can do damage, like we saw with the red card, Fateful End. You can do other stuff in your opponent's turn, do extra damage, scry 1, sort your deck out how you want it, and then automatically just fly over the top with this great Chimera as well. This is nice. Is it spells matter deck? Chimera should definitely be put in there. Staggering Insight, I think, is a really cool enchantment. Enchant creature, gets +1/1, has lifelink, and whenever this creature deals combat damage, it does what blue does. You get to draw a card. Put it on something in there, like maybe a flyer that can just fly over the top, or anything like that that just has any sort of evasion. Getting a bit of lifelink and drawing cards is what you want to do. And I think Staggering Insight, I do like these 2 mana, sort of enchantments that I've been seeing, and I think they're really cool. And this one, Staggering Insight, is no different. Building a flyers deck is great. That's what blue-white does best. And if you can get lifelink and make it pumped up and draw a card if you get through the combat damage, Staggering Insight will definitely do some work for you in your games. So now we go to blue, and we have Stinging Lionfish here, a 2-1 for 2 enchantment. Get that constellation going. A bit much like some other cards in this set, whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, you may tap or untap target non-land permanent. So basically you're playing spells on your opponent's turn, get those spells on your deck and basically just really annoy your opponent. Tap or untap non-land permanent, and it could be something of your own. You know, there's a creature coming up next that you can untap and do stuff with. So this is a nice card. It's nice stats, 1 for 2 as well. I think it can definitely do a bit of work if you get the cards to go along with it. Tap down your opponent's creatures. Maybe they've got the real big attacker that you just can't deal with, but you're building those spells ready to get your attacks in, playing the spell in your opponent's turn, tapping down that, and then just getting through with your little 2/1s, maybe your other little smaller creatures. I think Lionfish is, for 2 mana, is a very nice card, and it can definitely, in the right deck, help you along the way, and it really is like a combat trick creature. This is the card I was talking about, Illyria Enraptured. 2/3 comes into the battlefield tapped. It doesn't untap during your untap step if you control a reflection, because when this enters the battlefield, you create a 3/2 reflection. So although it doesn't untap, you're still getting 5 power and 5 toughness on the battlefield for 3 mana. Now, you can get this untapped, like I said, in various ways, like using the Stinging Lionfish and anything else. There's ways you can bounce stuff and maybe just get more reflections in, enter battlefield, get another one of them in. Build up an army. This is a card that you can really build around. It is legendary, but it's not too worried about that. I think it's a really good card. You know, when you're pulling your uncommons, you might not get multiples of them because only 3 in every pack. It's not like the commons where you might get more than 1. But if you pull a couple of these, you'll be doing well. And this is total value. Enraptured for me, definitely one of the best blue uncommons in the set. So now we go to the last 2 cards before we get to the honourable mentions. Don't forget to leave me a comment in the video, as I really want to see which cards you think are really good and what you think of these, and any others that you think might be really good in the colours I've already mentioned. But we're looking at Seared of Life's Bounty here. It does a lot for 1 mana, 1 white mana. It's a 1/1 with Lifing, enchantment, so it's going to add to Constellation like we speak about. And this has 1, sacrifice outside's life for bounty. Target creature enchantment you control gains protection from the colour of choice until end of turn. So this means you will be able to get your opponent to waste a kill spell or anything like that. Something maybe on something that is really good for you and they really have to get rid of, so they have to target it. So you can sacrifice this and then gain protection for it. I think this card does a lot. It's going to peck away at the start, getting a bit of life. It's a nice early turn 1 play if you can get it down, and then it can be used as protection. It does a lot, Life's Bounty, for 1 mana, and it's definitely a great card. So the last card on my list is a reprint for the set, Banishing Light. I love this enchantment. Enter battlefield, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until this leaves the battlefield. Banishing Light was always great when it was in last standard for me, and this will be no different. Premium removal for white. This is what you've got. Banishing Light. It has non-land permanent, so it can do anything. It's not just gonna be creatures or anything like that. It could do a planeswalker, it could do an enchantment, it could do anything. So it's indestructible. It's so good, Banishing Light. If you pull a couple, chuck them in your deck without a doubt. Banishing Light will not let you down. So let's get to 3 honourable mentions now. Like I said, there's a lot of uncommons in this set that I think are really well in your limited pools. Triton is 1. It's a 2/1 for 2 with Death Touch. So that will trade off of anything. Good stats and has that great Death Touch ability. And when it ends the battlefield, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. So it's going to help with escape mechanics potentially. And you gain 2 lives. So you're getting quite a lot here for 2 mana. Triton can trade off with anything with the Death Touch. Obviously not flyers, it will fly over the top unless you put a nice little enchantment on it to give it flying. But this is a cracking card and is a nice turn 2 play and can sit there. It will have to be removed, or they will have to attack him with something potentially really big that the Triton can just block and kill. We now look at Destiny Spinner, was another favourite of mine, but just didn't quite make the top 15. 2/3 for 2, so it's got great stacks. Creature and enchantment spells you control can't be countered. I mean, that is great. You're hoping that there's probably not going to come across a deck that's playing a lot of counter spells, but it's still a nice card, has nice stats. Above the stats, obviously 3 toughness. But it has for 3 and a green, target land you control becomes XX elemental creature with trample and hasten to end turn, where X is the number of enchantments you control. So if you manage to build up a constellation deck, enchantment creatures, enchantments, auras and stuff like that, this can obviously turn your creature land into a big stomper. This will turn that land into a big elemental and you can stomp over a win, potentially for 4 mana, making another great creature as well. So I think this definitely deserves an honourable mention. It could have nearly made it into my 15, but it was just outside, but definitely still deserves a mention. The last honourable mention is Metamized Prophecy for 2 mana. It's another saga. I love Scry and I think it's super strong. So the first lore counter is Scry 2, so you get to sort out your deck. Number 2, see, this makes it a little bit harder, but I still think it's a decent card, you know. Choose a card name is the second for lore counter, but the third is when you cast a spell with a chosen name for the first time, you get to draw cards. So you've got to have that card in your hand and ready to cast. And the fourth lore counter is look at the top card of each player's library, so you get to see what your opponent has as well. I think for 2 mana, this is worth a chance. Scrying 2, choosing the card name, drawing a couple of cards potentially. So Scry 2, draw 2 cards. I think that's great for the potential of 2 mana, and it definitely gets an honourable mention. So this is my top 15 commons with a few honourable mentions here. Let me know what you think of them. I want to see what you say in the comments. Give the video a big thumbs up. That really does support the video. It helps YouTube chuck the video around to everyone, Magic players all around. Anyone that's not already subscribed, please hit that button as well. I appreciate all the new subscribers from the previous video, because that got quite a lot of views for us, and you know, I really appreciate everyone taking the time to watch it. So if you haven't seen the best commons, go and check that out. Ready for your pre-release prep. I've got lots of deck techs coming, lots of new decks all bruised. There'll be gameplay of all this stuff coming very soon. I really hope all your pre-releases go very well. Just come back and let me know how good you're doing. Hopefully some of these cards will help you win along the way. Anyway, you lot take care, and I'll see you on the next video.